I do a series here for the radio station at 88.7 WSYC called Is This Where You Want to Be, where I try my best to take a look into your career and, kind of just dive into the deeper stuff rather than just, how's tour going, even though that question is in the interview.
Okay, cool. Tour's going good.
Cool. I do always like to start with the very general topic of how are you doing?
I don't know. I think we've all been doing better, It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that we have a president-elect of our country who's associated with, like, the white supremacy movement, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that's very true, and I won't dive too far into politics because we're just going through a very rough time right now all around.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
certainly
of course.
not trying to stress anybody out over it, but personally, I guess where is your stance on that currently? Are you sort of one of the people who's 100% fighting against it, or are you one of the people who is at least, I shouldn't say at least, but kind of giving it a chance, seeing where things will go?
I'm 100% fighting against it. I think giving it a chance is insane. Like, we know what his viewpoints are. Everything, like, the platforms that he ran on are platforms that are anti-equality. And as a person who thinks all people should be treated equally, I think that he is a bad leader of our country. I think he's a leader for the white people of this country. And honestly, probably just the white man of this country. And I don't think that is somebody who represents me or my friends or my community or a lot of people in this country. That's how I feel. So I think the idea of giving him a chance is, like, that's insane. We have to be prepared to, like, fight against some bullshit. Sorry for swearing.
Oh, it's okay.
Am I allowed to swear?
You're totally allowed to, because I just go back and censor it afterwards anyway.
Oh gosh, that's great.
Well, and that's also a question that I have later on in the interview as well. So I'm glad that these things are kind of lining up. And I do think that your viewpoint on that is very valid. I think that a lot of people need to be prepared to stand up and fight for what they believe in the upcoming 4 years. So it's good to have that. But just let's move on into your album.
Yeah. I don't want to do that to you.
The most recent album. Actually, I should probably start off with an apology to you personally, because I had an interview with your friend, bandmate Chris Farron a little while back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I knew your name was Jeff Rosenstock, and I had it written down on the paper in that way, but I pronounced your name Jeff Rosenberg, and so I'm very sorry for messing your name up.
Yeah, you just general Jewish something is my last name.
So your most recent album, Worry, has been doing phenomenal at our station. It's charted very well. It's been getting played like crazy, and I just wanted to.
Thanks. That's crazy.
I just wanted to know how you have felt about the album's reception.
It's kind of been nuts. I am the kind of person that I don't really try to pay attention to too much of that stuff. I mean, obviously I see it, but I don't think I'm gonna make a better record if I think this record's doing well. I also am incredibly superstitious, and I feel like if I get excited about things, then it'll jinx it, and then the things that are going well will start going badly, which is completely insane, but I think that's just how I was raised, in a half Catholic, half Jewish house. So I think, I don't know, I kind of usually just try and, put my head down and just kind of keep at what I'm trying to do. But it's been crazy. Like, it's been hard to ignore. People, like, have been responding to this record well, and it got, like, good reviews and got featured on stuff, and I know we were like number 11 on the CMJ charts last week, and all that stuff is just kind of, it's certainly new to me as someone who has been doing this for 10, 15 years, to like have that kind of response to it, but at the same time I think it's really nice, and I really appreciate it, and it's really awesome. But if I am good at what I'm doing, then I don't think I can let that affect kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just super stoked about it. It's nice. It feels nice. Yeah, that's how I feel.
One thing that I got, you said you're superstitious to an extent. How superstitious are you? Like, black cat crosses your path, you bad luck for it goes that far?
No. I'm more just like if you say something negative out loud, it'll come true,
Oh
and
yeah.
if you say something positive out loud, it won't come true.
It's
That's
the
around
it's the
that's
at
around the
least this
level.
can't get
Yes.
any worse situation.
The what?
It's the at least this can't get any worse situation, and then it gets worse.
Yeah. Or being like, wow, no traffic today, and then all of a sudden you're in traffic.
Um, from what I have read
That's like the
online,
thing. That's like my mom would like scream at my dad in the car if he'd be like, "Look, there's no traffic." She'd be like, "You're gonna jinx it," and then we get traffic. She'd be like, "See." So even though I know it's dumb, just like I don't know, being around that constantly to this day, it's just like, how am I not going to think like that a little bit?
oh, of course, yeah. From what I've read online, a good portion of the album was written after your band equipment was stolen in 2015.
Yeah, that's a partial truth.
A partial truth. Okay, can I
Yeah.
can I get the full truth? That's why I ended it with kind of a question mark because I wasn't sure to what extent like this whole situation occurred.
Well, it was the song "The Fuzz" was written like we got broken into, and yeah, all of our stuff got stolen. And actually, I think the most painful thing about that whole thing was going to the police precinct and trying to file a report. Because at that point, I kind of just, it was awful, but I accepted what we had lost, and I thought insurance was going to take care of it. Which sidebar they didn't, but a bunch of people who listened to our music did, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But like waiting at the police precinct or just trying to file a police report took like 5 or 6 hours. We like flagged down a cop on the street. He was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't work around here. I can't help you out." We called up. They were like, "Yeah, you got to just go online." We tried to file a police report online. It was like, "Yeah, you can't." So then we went down to the precinct. We waited there for hours while people who were like victims of assault and like their cars being stolen were just waiting there. And nobody was helping. Nobody was helping anybody. There was one lady who came in and was making racist jokes, and the guy behind the counter, the police officer behind the counter, was, laughing with her about it. And we were just like, "Yo, we like everybody here needs help." And then, yeah, so just kind of that situation of seeing people who were like, "Yeah, I got assaulted. I've been here all day. I have to go to work now. Do I come back tomorrow?" And they'll be like, them like laughing, like, "Yeah, come back tomorrow." It's just like really messed up.
Yeah, it seems like
And
such a nonchalant way for the police to handle things. Where do you know
well,
what area you?
and yeah, I was in San Francisco. I was in the Mission.
Okay.
And the thing, and then I just thought about like in San Francisco specifically, like the Black Lives Matter protests, and just seeing like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of police officers in SWAT gear standing outside of people peacefully protesting, the murder of unarmed African American men, and it's just kind of like, why were you there? Why weren't you here helping people out who need help? And so, yeah, I just kind of was thinking about that a bunch on the drive from San Francisco to the next place, and uh, wrote that song "The Fuzz" in the van with like a Mellotron like keyboard app on John's iPad. And yeah, and so that was kind of like ended up being a really important part of like that back half of the record,
Hmm.
where all the songs kind of go into each other. And when Diners got robbed, some buddies of ours also got robbed in California. I already had all the music written and a lot of the lyrics written, but was like kind of having a hard time making it all good and making it all sound like it went together and make it all not sound dumb. And just after reading that, a bunch just kind of like rushed back to me, and like the feeling of that happening. And think about how lucky we are, but like Diners are not like, I don't think Diners got as much stuff stolen, but I was just thinking about like, what if somebody didn't have like a fan base who was going to give them $20,000 to replace all their equipment? Like,
No.
where would they be when like what happens to those people who are in that police precinct who got assaulted and can't and don't know what to do, and nobody's there to help them? And I kind of just put my head down in a pillow and wrote like the lyrics for the last 8 songs on the record. Just kind of wrote them all out. So yeah, it was inspired by that break-in, but it wasn't like I got broken into and then wrote a record.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a nicer story, and you could tell people that because it's less long and easier.
No, I make a point of not cutting too much out of my interviews. The only if unless I'm asked to cut something out, which I actually have been before, I usually keep it in its entirety.
Yeah, I was kidding around. I
Yeah, no.
assumed that you wouldn't be like, and he answered the question.
That actually flows perfectly into my next question, which I think you kind of already answered, but we could expand upon a little bit more, which is the album deals with an array of subjects. Like Festival Song has a very Big Brother is watching type feel to it, and Blast Damage Days kind of, and this is all in my opinion, of course I'd like for you to expand on it. Blast Damage Days deals with an array of subjects kind of depicting like modern American life. And so do you choose to write about current events, or is it just kind of how you're feeling in the moment?
It's certainly just how I'm feeling in the moment. I think that I for anyone who like has been listening to my music for a while, to hear a record like this, I assume it would be somewhat surprising because I tend to just generally write about me and shit I'm going through. And I wanted to try and not do that as much on this record. And I kind of wanted to, I mean, I think just naturally I always end up writing like with a little bit from the viewpoint of depression, to put it lightly. I didn't want to make it be about that again, because that was kind of how the last record ended up. And so I was just thinking about kind of the external things and the things that you can't control that kind of lead people to, living lives that end up feeling really sad and really empty. And then also trying to figure out how to, acknowledge that and move on from that and understand that like we're all going through it, and that we could still have joy and still have love even if that's going on, as long as we just acknowledge it and be like, okay, this is this thing, and we gotta see that this is like that we're being not like it sounds so conspiracy theorist crap to say, but just like the way that we consume media now, and the way ads are just like kind of micro targeted towards you, it just kind of makes you feel like you can't be a person unless you buy this stuff that they're selling you. It kind of make it, and you don't realize that while it's happening. You kind of think that you're making your own thoughts, but if you're looking at Facebook or Twitter or just watching TV, like you are, you're being directed down a path.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of this record is about noticing that we're all being directed down a path by external forces that have nothing to do with us. It's just being like, well, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do the things I want to do. I want to, help the people that are important to me. I want to love somebody. I don't want to just think about how I could get the new 4K Ultra HD TV,
Yeah, no, that makes a decent amount of sense. Also coming from, I'm a communications journalism major here at Shippensburg University, and literally that just describes what we're going through in one of my classes, describing how a lot of advertisers have resorted to using like subconscious advertisements now, as opposed to just straight up in your face, especially on Facebook and Twitter. It's just something that you scroll by and notice, but that sticks with you more than anything else.
Yeah, it's disguised as like a post from your friend.
Yeah.
But it's like, how sick is the new Nest? Isn't your thermostat? Don't you want to control your thermostat? And it's like, I don't even have a thermostat, but this looks cool. Maybe. Wait, no. I don't need this.
One thing
Close, delete.
that I personally have not been able to stand is because a lot of media can already be bought out. But are you familiar with the media BuzzFeed?
Yeah.
So they have recently launched a Facebook page and website and all that stuff called BuzzFeed Partner, which is just straight up in your face telling you these people paid us to write these articles. And yet most people totally ignore that. They don't notice.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's insane. I mean, at least they're upfront about it. It's so, I mean, just like, I don't know. I feel like you could see the results of it now when you see the results of this election. And we all know that Trump has kind of been on TV constantly, even before this election, obviously as a host of The Apprentice. And then on CNN, they're like giving complete and total coverage to his full speeches, and like there's no such thing as bad publicity. He's just on there constantly. And then when he got elected, everybody's shocked. It's like, well, no, I mean, it's been subliminally being seeping into the consciousness of the people who feel like, they're like, I don't know, like weird racist bigots who feel like they have not been being represented by our government for everybody. Like, it's been seeping in there, and even for us, it's been normalizing this kind of hate and racism for us. So that's like an example of just like how it's subliminally just like that media is controlling you, which like sounds like a crazy thing to say, which makes me sound like a bonkers weirdo with like a tinfoil hat on or whatever.
Well, when you phrase it that way,
it's the truth,
Yeah, when you phrase it that way, it certainly sounds that way. But then you look at it and dissect it, and it is the truth, certainly.
Yeah.
But there's no like sane way to say it at the same time.
I think that the truth is insane and terrifying, which makes it sound insane and terrifying when you say it out loud. But that doesn't make it not the truth.
There are a lot of people who would agree with you right now. I'm very sure about that.
Yeah. But I'm just marketing my record right now, baby. Hey, if you feel this way, go on over to Side One and spend $15.
Worry also has a large amount of short songs that flow into one another between a bunch of longer songs. And were they just bits of songs that were unfinished, or were they songs that you wanted the album to flow that way with a bunch of short songs that go into one another?
I knew that I wanted the end of the album to feel kind of like a car crash, to feel kind of like a panic attack, to actually musically represent the anxiety as much as the lyrics tend to. But I didn't really know how to do it, and I was working on a bunch of those songs at the end, and it just kind of felt like they were all short, and making them longer was not making them better. It was just kind of making them a little bit more formulaic, which I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I was speaking to my buddy Tim, who plays drums with us sometimes, at a New Year's party, and I was just talking to him about it, and we play music together a lot and we're friends, and he was just like, hey, try just smashing them all together and see if that works. And I think at that point I had like 12 or 13 songs that I was just trying to figure out how to make them good. And like the second he said that, I was like, oh yeah, and I know exactly which 8 it's gonna be. It's gonna go like this, and this. It's like it just kind of clicked. I was like, yeah, of course, this is all like one thing, because that's kind of what it feels like. You experience all this crazy crap at once, and it makes you feel crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. A lot of your music, especially because you tend to play the ska punk. This album, I would say, is more the punk indie rock sound, but your music tends to flow through all three of those genres pretty well. And you started out.
There hasn't been like a ska song on any record that I've done really since like a very long time. I was stoked to put a ska song on this record, though.
Yeah. And what I wanted to say was you started out with the very ska punk sound and, bombed the music industry in your earlier acts that you toured with. Is that what you grew up listening to, or is that what you're listening to now?
No, that's very much what I grew up listening to. And like Long Island in particular, where I grew up, had just the best local ska scene possible. And like I kind of did not really feel any connection with people in high school. A lot of like the kids who were into punk did not like me for whatever reason. So I was here like being really into this music, and all the other kids who liked it were like mean skateboarders occasionally. Mm-hmm. Not all of them, but like a lot of them, and I kind of didn't feel any attachment to that. And getting into a band and then starting my own band, and then starting to play shows around Long Island, where like Long Island's set up that like every town is like 2 or 3 miles big and smash right up against another town. So it's just like 100 towns like right next to each other, each one having a high school that has like a ska band or two. So there were just like a ton of shows every day on the weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There were shows, you'd play, you'd go down, see your friends play, you'd have somewhere to hang out with people. And that was really important to me. And I think that is a reason why I kind of was making ska punk music, which is ceremoniously uncool for such a very, very, very long time, and why, like, as an adult, I'm like still going back to it and still revisiting it because I feel like that's an incredibly that's a very strong part of my roots, and I don't want to pretend like it doesn't exist.
That's good, keeping a bit of your youth or your, like you said, your roots with you as you grow older. I feel like that's something that a lot of people lose touch with very much.
Yeah, yeah. When we were mixing "Vacation," the Bond the Music Industry record, me and Joel, I remember that because that's like the first record I think that I put out without a ska song on it. And I remember, and people were listening. Like I sent the demos to my friends, and they were like, "Yeah, it sounds like a more mature record or whatever." And I remember talking to Joel about it, and he said, "All right, let's make sure we sprinkle it with some immaturity then." And I thought about that, and I just kind of like, I've kind of taken that with me forever. Just like, yeah, don't try and pretend that you're like this hoity-toity hot shit like songwriter. Like, you're still a punk, you're still a ska kid, you're also like a weird music kid who likes like pet sounds and also listens to ambient music, and like, you're all of these things. You're not just one thing. Make sure you keep that energy and that immaturity in there because it's part of you.
Yeah. Moving on, and I think this kind of would go with the maturity part, is that you've started the label, the record label, quote unquote records, which distributes music for free or for donations. And me not being a businessman, I'm just the guy who writes about businessmen. Is it difficult to operate?
Am I in your businessman column right now?
Well, I mean, you operate a record label, which certainly does, and you have to market yourself. You are, in a sense, you are your own business.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a goof.
But is it difficult to operate a record label off of free or donations? I mean, I assume you have to have some intake of money in order to keep this going on.
No, it's the easiest thing in the world. You record the music yourself. You record it because you love making music, and I think my web hosting costs like $3 a month. So no, it's super easy.
Oh, really?
It's not hard. Oh, I've gotten asked that a lot. Just like, how do you make money off it? It's like, well, donations come in, and bands don't make money off their records a lot of the time anyway. So it's not like that's something that's expected. But people come to the shows because they heard the music because it's free. I mean, it's not really all that different from Spotify, except there's no ads, and it literally is the same exact thing as Bandcamp now, except it's just a select amount of records. So yeah, it's not hard. I recommend anybody doing it. Just put out your record for free and let people know about it. Start like a collective and put out all your friends' bands' records for free, and you can build something up. I mean, Double Whammy, which is a tape label, maybe it's Double Whammy, I forget, but they did like early Level Up stuff and Crying, and they kind of built a scene too out of that, and it was all free on Bandcamp, and now those bands are all doing really good. So I think just the idea of like, not just thinking about, oh, my record's free, but trying to think about your friends and be like, okay, how can like we work together to make this a little bit more special, and kind of use all of our tiny, tiny resources to make one still pretty small resource, but something bigger than it was before,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And crowdfunding or just being a crowd and putting out music together is always a great way to get multiple forms of exposure all at once, for sure.
Yeah.
And one thing that a part of this, one that I kind of stemmed from this is that, and I'm going to be 100%, this is coming from Wikipedia, so I can't guarantee the truth of it, but it says that you choose to live a very DIY lifestyle.
Sure.
Or you live by that kind of ideology, I should say. And
I mean, yeah, I think so. I don't like to think that I live by anybody else's ideology but my own, to be honest with you.
I mean, I'm certainly not trying to say that you found this one lifestyle and are choosing to live by that path, but it certainly reflects a very DIY lifestyle,
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, could you care to expand on, what your mentality is on doing things yourself? Because you do seem to, when I look at, the stuff that you've done, you seem to produce a heavy amount of your own music. You, of course, record and put out a lot of your own music, and then, it seems like you are very set on getting your stuff done your way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the fact that I've generally disassociated my music and my art. I hate to use that, but like from finance and from business, um, has always allowed me to just want to make the thing that I kind of set out to make, and not really letting anybody get in the way, and just trying to do it. And, not like knocking people over or whatever, just kind of try to be like, okay, yeah, you're doing your thing. This is the thing I want to make. Um, I don't want to let it, I don't want to let outside factors, especially financial factors, get into that. Like, I'd rather just figure out a way to make it cheap and still try and make it good. Um, so I don't know. I'm just trying to make a thing, and I think that as things get bigger, I just try and remember that that is what people responded to, and as we kind of grow as our band and all that shit, just kind of like, trying to make sure that as we grow, we're just growing with people that we're friends with and people that we love and bands that we love and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you have a clear vision in your head of what you want to do, you can do it. It's just a matter of accepting that you might not make any money on it and you might have to have a job. But having a job is sweet. It gives you time to just space out and think about music.
Um, and one thing that I also would like to ask you about is, along with doing all of this stuff and doing it your way, I gotta ask where you get all of your energy, because I've been looking at, I didn't know about you until Worry came out and I reviewed it for the station. And then after I listened to that album, I thought it was amazing, and I looked up all your stuff. And you make, produce, and play music like crazy. And especially since you're playing the punk indie ska sound, it's got to be pretty draining when you're doing these long tours and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I mean, I think that I just love playing music. That's it. And like, it's two things. One is that, like, that is just how I play guitar and how I play when I'm in a band. I try to dial it back and I still can't. Like, that just is how I am when I'm playing. Um, and also, like, okay, so like about a year ago, maybe more than a year ago, we went on tour with Dan Andriano from Alkaline Trio, and I had produced his record with a lot of the guys who were in my band. So we played in both bands on that tour, which was like 2 hours a night or something like that. And I was just thinking the whole time I was there, just like, yeah, this is why I'm here. Like, I'm not here because sorry, somebody's calling me on the other line. It's distracting. Um, yeah, I'm not here because I want to drink beer. I'm not here because I want to sit around. I'm not here because I want to look at my phone in a green room and eat like hummus and celery. Like, no, I'm here because I want to pick up a guitar or a bass and I want to jam with my friends. So I think that that's kind of where the energy comes from, is that I'm like living out the thing that I always dreamed of doing when I was a kid. So of course I'm going to be stoked about it. And I think that whenever I start getting a little dark, because tour could get very dark, it could get very repetitive, it could get very sad, you get very homesick, especially times like now. You just kind of feel like, what am I doing? What is my purpose? I just try and always remember that, like, I am doing the thing I wanted to do when I was 15 years old, and I kind of stuck it out, and I'm still doing it. And that also I am right now playing for people who are probably my age when I first started getting into stuff. So I can't, like, there's no time. There's no time to be lazy. There's no time to be tired. There's no time to not be into it. And yeah, I hope that generally I am not, because I don't know. Sometimes anybody gets tired and anybody could get exhausted, and I just kind of try and fight through that.
Hmm.
If I'm feeling like that, I just kind of like, all right, I have a few more days, and then I get a day off, or like I have a few more days, and then the tour's over. Like, you get through it, and just kind of like, it's the last quarter mile of a mile. You just got to gun it.
Yeah, no, that's very good logic right there. Final question, and then I'll let you go. And this is a question that I try to ask everybody, especially musicians, when I have them for interviews. If you weren't making music, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a graphic designer. That's the easy one. I really like Photoshop. I like doing graphic design. I've had graphic design jobs that I have quit to get to make music and stuff like that. I really enjoy it. I think it's really fun. I think it's got a really good combination of like you could be super creative with it and you can learn a lot of techniques and you could get better at it, but also it's kind of like playing Tony Hawk, and that is very zen, and you kind of just keep doing the same moves over and over and over again, and I find that that kind of frees my mind and allows me to think about stuff. But also I think that no matter what I was like, I can't imagine not making music. Like I would still make music at home. I would still like put up records for free. Like there wouldn't be a situation that I would be alive on this earth not making music. So I could very much see not having music be my job. I feel very lucky that it has been for the past few years. That was never any of the intent when I started making music. This is just kind of something that happened and I'm pretty excited about. But I can't ever see just not having music in my life. Like that's just not gonna happen no matter what.
No, I mean, as long as you're passionate about it, keep going for it. Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for if you're one of the people who are like playing our songs on the radio. Thanks. That's like a completely surreal and amazing thing, and we're all really excited about it.
Yeah, like crazy. You actually broke top 10 for us, I think, like 2 weeks ago.
Damn, that's nuts. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool. I gotta get in the van. Yeah, I'll talk to you some other time.
Yeah, talk to you some other time, dude.
All right, bye.